Welcome to Direction Northeast. Hello, I'm Edith Gonzalez. This program is a presentation of the Mass Communications Department of Northeast State Community College and is produced by students through the college video production facilities. This edition of Direction Northeast is examining the changing role of Hispanic community and its culture in the Northeast Tennessee region. In just a moment, Direction Northeast talks with the Assistant Professor Francis Canedo.
I am the fourth generation of my family that's worked in automotive repair. My father always worked on cars, and his father was a mechanic, and my great-grandfather was a blacksmith. My name is Eric Henley, and I'm an automotive technician, and I got my start at Northeast State Community College. A two-year degree from Northeast State gave me the opportunity to own my own business and to support my family, which is what's most important. One thing I learned as a student at Northeast is that when you work hard enough, there's no limit to what you can achieve.
Our family gets together nearly every weekend. We laugh together, we enjoy each other, we have quality time together, and Northeast State has afforded us those opportunities. I'm a graduate of Northeast State, and my husband's a graduate of Northeast State, and both of our children chose to go to Northeast State. And I think it's because it provided us with an affordable quality education, and it was a wonderful experience. I'm Susan Graybill, and our whole family got our start at Northeast State.
Our guest is Assistant Professor of Spanish at Northeast State Community College. She also coordinates the Hispanic culture classes on campus. Thank you, Ms. Canedo, for coming doing this interview.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
First of all, I would like to ask, can you tell me a little bit more about your Hispanic cultural class?
Absolutely. We started offering the Spanish culture class about 4 or 5 years ago. And the interest was to teach the community here at Northeast State and our students what the differences were, not necessarily the difference, but the similarities they had with the Latino culture and what we know as the Hispanic community in the area. We're not that different, you know, we just wanted to bridge the understanding of these cultures and the differences between people from Mexico, Central America, and South America, and their similarities with the people from the area.
Okay, so can you go a little bit in depth on the differences on Latinos and Hispanics?
Absolutely. Hispanic is a word that is mostly used here in the U.S. Hispanic is not used anywhere else in the Latino community, and it's because we speak Spanish and we speak Spanish at home. So the word Hispanic is just denoting people that speak Spanish at home. Latinos, on the other hand, we come from Latin America, and that's how we talk about ourselves. We talk about because Latino does not only include our language, it includes our culture as well.
Great. So how would you say that the Latinos have shaped the community?
Oh, we have seen a great influx of Latinos moving into the area, so we have seen the color of the town changing a bit. We have seen more and more people coming and working here, not only migrant farm workers that do the labor in the farms around the area, but people working in banking and supermarkets. We have seen a lot more restaurants and facilities run by Latinos.
And as far as migrant workers, would you say that those Latinos have engaged more into the community as far as in the past?
We have seen a lot more Latinos staying in the area, especially the migrant farm workers. They are migrating just during the summer. So we have seen a lot of people staying here during the winter and then doing work in the farms in the summer. So it just depends which group. If you go to Unicoi County, you will see a big community of Latinos that have decided to stay, and they are no longer migrating with the crops. So they are here and they're here to stay.
What would you say some of the resources that Latinos are actually lacking in, and that's something that we could help them with?
I think education and healthcare are the biggest issues. Latinos usually have the highest rate of type 2 diabetes in the area. We also have problems with access to dentists, and especially with childcare. And one organization that does an excellent work is the Migrant Head Start Center in Unicoi County, and Catholic Charities have been working with them a lot. But again, I think education and healthcare are the biggest things.
Do you think that the language barrier could be one of the things that the issues that separates us from kind of communicating with the Latino community?
Yeah, indeed. Most of Latino community members live in their families, in their communities, and they don't stray away from their little core group. So we have seen a lot of people not learning English because they don't need to. But that is not the case with the children. The children go to school and talk to other people and play with the neighbors. So we have seen children growing more and more bilingual. The issues with the parents in some cases that also creates a barrier with education when they cannot understand at PTA meetings or again with the issue of healthcare.
Okay. And so some of the school system actually stopped doing the ESL programs. Do you think that was the right choice? Because we do have a lot of Latinos going into the school systems, even though they, start learning the English. Do you think that's something that we need to keep intact?
Yes, absolutely. We not only need ESL classes, we actually need language classes for other students. We are a country that in 25 more years is going to be a majority-minority country, or minority-majority country, whichever way you want to see it. So we actually need to start learning other languages and try to communicate with groups that are going to be big in our area. And in our area, that's the Latino community. You have other areas where you have a big Indian population or a big Asian, Japanese, Chinese, a lot of Vietnamese. So I think learning the language of the people in your area is also important.
And as far as education, do you think if these resources were available to them, would there be more of a higher chance for these kids to go into college and further their education?
Absolutely, absolutely. One of the biggest issues for Latinos not to graduate is because they need to stop working to help their parents. So if we would encourage students to do well in school, we would definitely see them in college because all they want to do is better their education.
And as far as Latinos goes, when being brought into like the career choices, do you think they have a higher demand just because they're bilingual and have that?
Definitely. Just to give you an idea, I was not a Spanish professor. I had a master's in finance, and my undergrad was in economics. And when I approached ETSU when I first got here, because it was really hard for me to find a job with my foreign certifications, I actually went to ETSU and I said, is there anything I can do? Well, I get all my paperwork in check and I get some more experience in the area. And I started teaching language that way because I was one of the few that was able to speak and I had a master's degree. And that's how I came into teaching, and I love it. It's great, but I never thought that this was going to be what I was going to be doing for the rest of my life.
Oh, wow, that's great. And so how you said, you went from one degree to another, you've helped a lot of the students out and their parents possibly. Do you think that if we had more of professors that did, different careers and degrees, that would help them out a little bit more?
Yes, that would be good too. And coming back a little to your first question, the demand for Spanish speakers is great. Several years ago, I had a meeting with Professor Stephen Butolf and the chiefs of police, and they are desperate for having people that speak English. They want Spanish. They want officers that speak Spanish and English to be able to communicate with the growing Latino community in the area. And we also see that a lot of the call centers need people that speak Spanish. There's more healthcare. They want translators and interpreters. So we definitely need more people that speak Spanish. And just telling you that courthouse translating pays really well. So if anyone wants to learn Spanish and go into that, look into that.
Look into that. So now that you actually brought that about the police and stuff, do you think that's some of the reasons why the Latino community kind of does not get so involved in reporting crimes? Yes,
and I think language is one of those things. The also is many people, even people in the area, don't know the difference between what immigration does and what the police does. The police should not be doing any checks on your documentation, because crime is one thing and the issue of immigration is completely different. So, and I think there has always been confusion there. So a lot of Latinos that are here undocumented do not call the police and do not report crime against them because they think that the police is going to call immigration. And what I would like people to know is that that's not the
That
case.
they can't be doing that. So as far as how you said immigration goes, do you think that most of them are scared because they have the immigration problem, that they also don't want to further their education because of issues like that?
I don't think it's they don't want to, is they're not available. Not able to, I'm sorry, not available. There's resources that are not available to them. One of the things would be Tennessee Promise. Even kids that graduate from Tennessee high schools that apply cannot get Tennessee Promise because they're here undocumented. If you're here undocumented, you don't pay in-state tuition. You don't pay out-of-state tuition. You pay international tuition, which is usually 4, 5, 6, 7 times more. There have been students that have gone through Northeast State paying 7 times more than the rest of the students do because they wanted to further their education. But those are the ones that are extremely motivated to do so. If you have more barriers, it is complicated to come to school. Also, as we mentioned, is the language issue. Sometimes filling out applications is hard because they don't have help, and they don't have help at home like many of the local kids do. Their parents are able to fill their application forms for them or help them do it. And in the case of Latino kids, maybe they don't get that help.
So do you think there is any resources outside of just the regular high school that they could actually apply that doesn't put them in that barrier of being undocumented?
Well, DACA, the Deferred Action policy that President Obama signed, that has helped a lot of students that were brought here undocumented when they were younger to apply for documentation and be able to attend schools, because they are able to attend schools within state tuition and regularize their undocumented position. That's not the best word I can find, but but it's a case-by-case issue. Not a lot of them know what to do or where to go. So one of the big resources that we have in the area is Catholic Charities, and they are usually able to put people in the right track to finding resources.
Okay. And speaking of the Catholic Charities, I've seen that most of them they help a variety of the students. Do you know if there's any certain type of wages that they have to follow of guidelines?
I could not tell you that. I did not come prepared for that question, so no, I don't know.
You're fine. As far as other charitable donations that are resourceful for the Latino community, is there anything else that other schools have been doing?
There's a lot of independent scholarships, so just check with your institution. The independent scholarships that each institution has from the foundation or from businesses that donate to the schools, those are usually the ones that students can apply for.
Okay. And as far as the students' education, once they're furthering their career, do they usually tend to relocate or just kind of stay here at this Upper East Tennessee?
It just depends on the family. We Latinos tend to stay where our family is, and you will see that a lot of people just stay with their core group of family. So if the family stays, you stay. If the family goes somewhere else, then you follow them usually.
So going back to your Hispanic culture class, when you were teaching it, when it was up and going, would you say that it was very informative for the kids to learn? What were some of the major things that the students were surprised to learn about it?
Yes, I think it's interest more than anything. The students were really interested in knowing differences and similarities, so they asked a lot of questions. One of my things was, one of the problems I encountered in that class was that I was assuming that a lot of my non-Latino students knew a lot of these things, and they didn't. So I had to go to a basic understanding of what this different culture is, and learning to start, on this family issues and core issues of who makes decisions in the house. We talked about music, how music also inspires good things and bad things. and what the different music is, and for the areas and the cultural differences and the social statuses in each country. You know, there's a lot more differences that I thought people would understand, but I had to go very, very basic because we don't portray those things and we don't see those things in everyday life. So that was the interesting thing. If I could teach a class that was a full year of just immersion in Latino culture, that would be great, because I think that's what's needed, instead of compressing it into one semester and try to give you just bits and pieces.
What was the most interesting part that the students enjoyed about that class?
It's always the food. It's always the food, and I still do that with another one of my classes with Spanish 2. So if you're in Spanish 1, wait until Spanish 2. We usually do a chapter on food, and I ask them to go in and check online and find something from a country that they are interested in. And they usually come out with really good recipes, and we bring food to the classroom and we eat, and they have to share what they learn while cooking it, and where they're able to find all the ingredients in local places, which usually is problematic. So we try to make simple things, but yeah, that's the most fun we usually have.
Right, and usually the food is always...
Food is always good.
Yeah, it's always best. I don't think
Yes.
you can't go wrong with the food.
No, serves connect everybody.
Right. We were talking about the education and the doctors and welfare and stuff like that. Would you say that some of that kind of relates back to the culture where they have a lot of home remedies? And is that something that kind of surprised the kids?
Yes, definitely. Many years ago, one of my colleagues was actually doing her master's degree in home remedies from grandma, and making this little compilation of all these remedies, and it's amazing. And I find myself doing a lot of these things at home as well. I know that I need to go to the doctor, but I will try all these things that my grandma taught me before I go to the doctor. Yes. And so if you still have grandma, definitely she will try to take care of you at home.
Grandma's like the Google.
Yes, yes.
The Google of this world. Apart from home remedies, so a lot of the Latinos have a lot of superstitions. Would you say?
Yes.
What are some of your favorite superstitions that a lot of your students didn't know that a lot of Latinos do have?
There's so many superstitions. Yeah, Latinos are extremely superstitious. And a lot of that comes from Catholicism trying to mix the indigenous culture so that they will turn Catholics afterwards, right? So in my culture, which is the Inca culture, they still have, this is gonna sound weird, they make this little wreaths with several things that you burn, and it has incense, and it has these rocks of, these little rocks in shapes of animals or things that you want, a house, money, some tokens. And the weird part is that it has llama fetuses, sorry about that. But they burn this, and it's usually the first Friday of the month or during season change. It just depends who is doing it. And they burn this, and they burn it around the house to make bad spirits go away. And I have never been superstitious, but I have always found that those things are very interesting. In my country also, we have a lot of respect for the Virgin, so the Virgin Mary. And each town and each city and each country has its own Virgin. And in my town was the Virgen de Urcupiña, and people still go walking. They walk about 10 miles or a little more. Some people actually crawl 10 miles to go see her. And if you get little rocks from her mountain and you take them home and then you return them the next year, that actually is supposed to give you good luck. So those are interesting. The most, though, is New Year's superstitions. New Year's, they are fun, and I decided to make a party with a couple of friends 2 New Years ago, and we said, bring your superstitions and we'll show you the superstitions of the people we know. One of them is counting money at midnight. You're supposed to count money so that you have money the whole year. The other thing is going up and down the stairs. I don't know why that is, but that's supposed to give you good luck. leaving the house through one door and coming in through another door with a suitcase
Yeah.
is good one for traveling that year.
Yeah, if you would like to travel,
Yes.
and then it means that you'll be able to
Right.
come back.
With your suitcase. Then you have the grapes. You need to eat 1 grape for every stroke of midnight, so it's 12 grapes. Another one that my sister-in-law taught me was to put beans in a little bag and put them in a pocket and keep them around the house in the pocket of one of your jackets. And that's supposed to bring good luck and well-being to the house, so that's an interesting one. So I was cleaning my winter gear before this past winter, and I found a bag of little beans in one of my pockets. It's interesting.
I bet you got a lot of good luck that
Yeah,
year.
I don't remember.
So apart from the superstitions, the fabulous foods that Latinos bring into, what about their sports, the scholarships? Like, what would you think that would make good scholarships for the Latinos?
Well, sports scholarships are good, but again, sports scholarships would be better if we would have sports in high schools, right? And they would not only be football, American football, or baseball or things like that. Tennis is a really good sport. Academic scholarships are better. You know, you want students to better their education doing well. But also, I think diversity scholarships are good. You want diverse students to come into your school population. It's not only skin color, but also language and culture and religion and different things.
And so with that bringing up, you know, obviously the Latinos, they're really hard workers. How do you feel about Trump wanting to bring up the wall and send everybody back home? How do you think, you know, Latinos are hard workers and, you know, they're trying to make better themselves? How do you think about that?
I was not ready for a political answer, but or a question, but I will give you my answer. I think it's impossible. It's not doable. So taking away 11 to 12 million Latinos out of the workforce in the U.S., you wouldn't have restaurants, you wouldn't have hotels, you wouldn't have anyone to pick up the food. 90% of the food that is at your table every day is picked up by hand. So, and those are the jobs that Latinos do. So I don't think it's feasible. That's my only answer. It's not feasible.
It's not feasible. Right. And would this kind of divide the two cultures of, you know, the Latinos and people here in America?
Definitely. I think it has already created a barrier of people that support people staying and working hard, and people that don't. And I think there's a lack of communication there.
As far as the political, anything that's political that goes, obviously we're not just talking about the Latinos, we're talking about all the other immigrants that come into this country, you know, how Trump wants it a certain way. Is it Latinos, if they just picked up and go, as far as like the colleges go, is there anything else that they would be missing out here that they couldn't get in their countries?
Well, in some cases they come here because they're in danger in their countries. If you go to Central America right now, especially in Mexico, if you go back to some of the areas, they have issues with the cartels. So it's not only their education that it's at peril, but their lives. And you see people from El Salvador and other parts of Central America trying to come here, escaping that. So when we think about immigration, it's not only an issue of the United States has the dollar and we're going to go earn in dollars and do better. It's life and death. So it just depends on which group of people you're talking to. There's people that have moved here because their family's here, or there's people that have moved here really because they had no options in their country. So if you want Latinos to pick up and go back to their countries, again, at first I don't think that will be feasible, but second, you will be depriving this country of a much needed diversity.
Do you think the Latinos will actually make a really big difference on Trump's election?
I think the Latinos have been the biggest difference in the last several elections. So definitely, if all Latinos would go out and vote, we would really see big differences in who gets elected.
What do you think is one way that we could get them to vote and see actually the cause and get them to get more into the politics?
I think what we need to do is two things. First, we need to educate groups that local and federal are very different, and we need to get more interested in local elections because those are the decisions that affect us every day. Federal elections, yes, they do affect us, but not in day-to-day things like the local elections. I think that's the first thing. And the second thing is just letting them know that their voice counts. And if they want things to change for them and their family, they need to vote.
All right, thank you, Ms. Canedo.
You're welcome.
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up Direction Northeast.
My name is Anthony Adams, and I'm IT support specialist at Northeast State Community College, which is also where I got my start. If I could offer any advice to anyone out there that's looking to pursue their education, my advice to you is just do it. Once you talk to someone here, you will see how easy it is to communicate with the employees here, and they're very willing and helpful to get you on your way to pursue your career.
But it would be safe to keep your distance until there's no secret that laughter makes you smile. Reliable sources say that chicken soup has found their way out of this dangerous, but it is safe they are returned.
Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. Go to discovertheforest.org.
Going to college was a big decision, but when I graduate from Northeast State, I know I can have a career.
Over half of our employees are graduates of Northeast State Community College.
When we see Northeast State on an application, we always give that candidate a second look.
Our company partners with Northeast State, knowing that their students graduate as trained professionals that become our employees both today and into the future.
Discover the career opportunities that await you. Northeast State Community College.
That concludes the program for today. We talked with Ms. Francis Canedo, Assistant Professor of Spanish. Community is very important to the students at Northeast State Community College, and this program takes a look at a few of the subjects they find important. Until we meet next time, on behalf of the students and staff and faculty of Northeast State Community College, I'm Edith Gonzalez, and this is Direction Northeast.